Hello guys, it's Nym and welcome back to my channel. Today is Friday and that means Planet Zoo. So today you will see what we are building. We are building a giant safari habitat. And when I say giant, I mean like literal enormous. It is quite big. Actually in my mind I wanted it to be bigger, and then I was sculpting the terrain and I was like, no, it doesn't need to be this big. We can make it a little bit smaller, so that's fine. So initially we started with this shape. And then afterwards, I decided to add some more habitats connected to it with a tunnel. So we have like this giant safari. We are also going to have a safari right through there. But before we start with any of that, we are messing with the path basically. And I keep getting better at it, like I have to say it. The path is becoming my friend. We're doing quite good. And in this video you will see a number of things being built. So first of all, obviously the giant safari, and we are actually gonna start with the right. So there will be a lot of paths and I will be cutting in that because it was quite annoying to get the path done. I still practice with that, so there you go, the path is done. Now we are putting in the 4x4 right. After that, we will be making the entire terrain. Then we are going to make another habitat. Once we finish that, we are connecting the two habitats. Then we are building a facility, so some like a food court, something like that, and some bathrooms. And then we are building this giant lake as well. So it is a lot. It is quite a long video. I usually don't make videos this long. This video is like almost half an hour, but it will be worth it. So make sure you check it out and you stick with me for the entire time. If you don't like me talking for 28 minutes, mute sound, put on your music and just watch the video. And otherwise, let's dive in. So we start off by making this waterfall feature. And the waterfall in this game, they look amazing, but they're so difficult to place because I can't actually, it's probably just me, but I always have like trouble seeing where I place them in like comparison to the wall. So this waterfall is sticking out quite a bit, so you know, we're fixing that, doing some other stuff. We are placing a little pond on the top to have the illusion that the water is coming out of that pond. And then we are finishing with, continuing with the terrain, making sure that it all lines up to the viewing point that was there. Just making sure that the animals can't escape. They will, spoiler alert, they will escape because apparently I suck at making barriers and making sure that my animals are safe, so there is that. And obviously we need an entrance point for our keepers, so that's on that hill. We are gonna use null barriers and use natural barriers, so we are just going to place savanna, grassland rocks all the way around. But before we do any of that, we are building our home for the right. Now I didn't put everything in here because it's quite boring to watch me place like logs all the time. Plus this video was long enough already. So all you need to know for now, we are making a kind of a house. Basically just an entrance to our 4x4 right. And we're making it completely out of logs and other things you will find in the Africa theme in the shop in Planet Zoo. And it took me quite some time. You'll see me like struggling with it, and in a moment I think we are gonna have another cut to the roof, but this is quite difficult because I never actually built something like that, and then having to imagine how it worked. So we are working with all these different kind of beams and we are just making sure that they look nice. And it was difficult, like really difficult. And at this point you can see the building starting to take shape. You know, you get to drift where I'm going at. You know, you have the supportive beams and then you have some smaller beams in between there, and then after everything we will put the roof on. And I actually learned I put the roof on last because otherwise it is very difficult to see what you're actually doing. So I have learned, so don't worry guys, I'm learning. And I actually think that it looks quite nice and quite cute. I'm quite happy with it. Even if I say so myself, but you know. So this is going to be like the shell. And then we are just gonna decorate it with some roof beams, and we're gonna put some more beams in just to make sure that it looks supported, because otherwise And it's kind of weird if you just have a roof floating without any support, because then it can crash in on you any moment, and obviously we don't want that. So here you see me putting on the roofs, making sure that it all lines up nice, and then I thought of like placing a flat roof. I ended up against that, and we are having that little, I don't know what to call it, but this thing, I don't know what it is, like the tip, I don't know, that weird roof piece. And I think after we placed like 2 more beams, that is it for our build. Oh, never mind, we are placing more beams apparently. Man, I placed a lot of beams. I completely forgot how many beams I actually placed. Wow. Those are a lot of beams. Anyways, we are now just going back to the surroundings. Now, like I said before, we are placing a lot of grassland rocks. It isn't quite interesting to see someone placing rocks, so you'll see me do it for a little bit, and then we are cutting to a bit where I like almost rocked the entire surroundings, so don't worry about that. There will be some cuts. You won't see me placing rocks for half an hour. There you see, so suddenly we are so far ahead. We have done so many things, and we are just nicing it up. And like I said, before we start doing terrain paint, I wanted to make sure everything is sand, and then the rocks blend in better as well. So it will be easier to see where you need to place some rocks, or where you could leave some space open perhaps. And obviously with all these little like rock formations, placing them and everything, I was thinking maybe I should do like a tutorial on how to place rocks. Because I have seen, I don't want to be mean, but I've seen some habitats on the workshop and they're like, you could have done better with those rocks. Obviously I don't know how long those people have been playing, but it looked like a struggle. So maybe I'll do that. But then again, on the other hand, there are already so many tutorials on Planet Zoo on pathing systems and rocking and how to make domes. I see our animals are in. So our animals that will be in this habitat will be the giraffe, the zebra, and the African bison. And the African bison, I decided on that later because I didn't want too many animals in there, because I once had a zoo where I had so many animals and it was very hard to control it. So only 3 species in this habitat, but that's completely fine. As you see me doing here right now, we are checking where the animals can actually escape and where they can't. That took some like fiddling around as well, but I managed in the end, so don't worry about that. It took me like almost 20 minutes to do that, and now we are building our first little shelter habitat. Our first little shelter in our habitat. And this is completely made out of beams. So obviously we are doing with selecting everything and then rotating it, which is the best way to do it. And then just removing some sections to make sure that the animals can actually go in. So that is one of our shelter places. I'm just checking how many shelter they actually need, because I wasn't sure, because we have like a lot of animals there. So I think in the end we're gonna have 2 or 3 of those little cabins, and then a lot of other cabins as well. And they are quite amazing, and I'm quite impressed with how they look, to be honest. So we're using all the African pieces. We are trying to make it look different, because with me at least, I fall into a slope where I use the same pieces and I build the same thing because that's what you're used to. And sometimes you wanna, make something different. You wanna shake it up. You wanna make it look interesting. So that's what we're doing here. And I decided to have like 1 roof bit and then one of those arches just to make sure that the giraffe could look outside, because the giraffe wants to look outside. It's a tall animal. He deserves to have a window. And I thought it was actually really cute. Now, and still these animals didn't have enough shelter, and I was like, damn, this entire habitat is going to be sheltered in a minute. What the frick? Anyway, and I also realized that if the animals are just standing on the track, the cars actually won't continue driving, which is logical. But that car stood there for almost 20 minutes real life time. So that was like a year in game. Those people sat in that car for a very, very long time. A very long time, but they enjoyed it. I mean, they had a terrific view of the giraffe, so, that's all good. So at this moment we are landscaping it a bit. I want to make sure we use the savanna and the, oh, I keep calling it savanna, but it's grasslands. Grasslands and tropical trees and flowers. You don't want to use too much because the animals actually don't like that much coverage. And not only because we have giraffes, but also zebras. And they like different amounts of coverage, so it was quite difficult to make it correct for all the species involved. I mean, we managed in the end, so, you know, all good, but it is quite difficult. And there are some trees that the zebras don't like, but you know what, that doesn't really bother me. It is fine, they can live with it. Like, it's not like they're dying or anything, or that they get like less points for being happy or, you know, whatever. And naturally, when you have a habitat, obviously some enrichment items are part of it as well. So we are making sure that the animals have enough feeders and enough water, because there are a lot of animals, so you want to make sure that every animal can eat, and not when the keepers like fill it, one giraffe eats and then the other 5 are hungry. Because that's not what you want, because then your animals are dying and you're gonna get protesters in your zoo, and that's all just not very nice. So at this point I was like, wait, I need to finish the viewing points. So you have a lot of viewing points for this. Actually, the entire terrain habitat is located directly next to viewing points. So this entire pathway is a viewing point, and it actually looks really, really amazing, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So you can see the animals from every side which you are, and I really like it. And then you also have the 4x4 ride, which doesn't cost a lot. I think it is like $2 or $4, because you know you already paid a high price for the zoo, so you don't want to be paying more money to go on the rides. At least I wouldn't do that. I never do that. Whenever there's like a ride in a zoo and I have to pay more than €2 for it, I'm like, nah man, I'll just walk. It's fine. Completely fine. So at this point we were, at least I am, building another habitat, and my initial thought was to make this obviously for the African bison, but then have it like a separate habitat. And once the animals were not finished the habitat, I was like, wait, actually it would be way more logical if the animals were together so they could walk from one side to the other side. So you'll first see me doing this bit, and after that we are trying to figure out a way to connect the two habitats. And we actually managed quite well, I have to say that. We are also obviously making a shelter, and we are making this by hand. I don't think I have it all here. I'm not quite sure. You see what I do? I make this video, I build something, and then a few days later I edit it, and then a few days later after that I do the voiceover, so I don't really remember what I put in some of the builds. I do remember that that's quite a small shelter, so we are adding some more to it, because at the moment there's only one bison in there, but once more bisons are coming in, they will need more shelter. And that's completely fine, you know. I think in the end we're gonna have 6 bisons, 1 male, 5 female in this habitat, and it's actually quite a nice space for them, and I'm really happy the way it turned out and the way it looks. I also thought it was funny that they all immediately went for the water, so you can just see them swimming around in the water, and I'm like, oh, that's so wholesome, it looks so nice. And obviously the bisons, you know, they hate some of the trees, but, you know, we don't really care. We're just gonna give them trees that they are happy with, and that's completely fine. We are also, once we finish this landscaping, we are going for a giant, and I mean a giant rock wall, completed, not with waterfall, but you can just imagine a waterfall going through there, because I didn't want to have waterfalls in every single habitat. But you'll see me doing that once we're there. I think we're almost there. We are gonna use obviously the same trees, because these animals are from the same biome and the same continent, so we want to have like some like cohesivity in the habitat, so that it actually looks like they belong together. And this is what I meant, like we're doing this giant rock wall, and it doesn't look that fancy now, but once we start decorating it, it will look amazing. And this is what I actually came up with the idea, to decorate this rock wall with flowers and plants to make it look more vibrant and alive. But we'll do that in a minute. apparently we're first gonna finish the enrichment items, which I completely forgot about, to be honest. But anyway, I'm just gonna continue talking about the rock formation while I'm doing this, because, you know, this is not really that interesting to look at. So we are gonna decorate the entire rock wall with flowers, just to make it look nice, because right now they're just rocks, and to be honest, it looks kind of boring. It really does. And we don't want it to be boring, we want it to be vibrant and alive. And I think I managed quite good, to be honest. I mean, you can be the judge for yourself, but also I don't know if you can hear it, but I think I'm losing my voice a little bit, because, you know, I recently had to go back to work and talking non-stop. Like, really, I'm a teacher, so I talk a lot, even though I try not to, but I teach like kindergarten, so you have to explain everything, and you have to say everything, and you have to do everything before they can do it, so there's a lot of talking involved. So it kind of has a strain on my voice right now, so I'm afraid I might lose my voice. But if I do lose my voice, don't worry, I'm still making videos. There will just be very little talking and a lot more music, so, you know, it's all fine, you won't miss any videos from me. And at this point I was like, you know, now I have this tiny rock formation, I want to have a giant rock formation, so I decided to add more rocks. And it actually looks quite nice, also with the terrain paint that we have surrounding it. It looks really complete, and I'm actually quite happy with the way it turned out, especially since on the other side of the path there are also rocks in this giant rock formation, as you can see right there. It really looks like it belongs together, and that is the reason when I thought, wait, these habitats should be connected. But before we are connecting them in any sort of way, we are completely decorating it and making sure that it looks really nice. And I think after this we are actually going to do the staff, not the staff facility, the shops and the toilets, and then we are gonna build this giant lake, and after that we are connecting them, but I'm not quite sure in which order I did it anymore. But, you know, things happen. And I have to say, especially with these pink and purple flowers, it makes the rocks look so much more alive and vibrant and really cheerful, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And then we're adding these tropical rocks in there as well. They look a little bit mossy and they give the contrast, and I actually think it looks really nice. I'm gonna say it again, but I'm amazed with how good it actually looks. Also, that rocks are just floating into the water, and you can still see them in the water, so they don't just randomly disappear, but it's like really one big cohesive item. You know, that's always quite nice. You know, placing some speakers and, you know, TV screens, because we want our guests to be educated, you know, that's quite important. And at this point I was like, maybe we should connect them. So we are building a tunnel through underneath the pathway. We now connected the habitats, and we are trying to mold it so that the animals can actually walk in there. And we did it, so now the animals can walk from one side to the other side, and they have even more space, and I think it actually looks really nice. And again, you know, we are placing some rocks because I was afraid that if the animals were too close to like the natural barrier, I would get these messages that, ooh, dangerous animal escaped, and then all my guests would flee out of the zoo. Well, in fact, they actually didn't escape, they just were very close to the natural barrier. But, you know, that's all that. So, you know, we obviously removed this entire rock formation. Now we're just placing it back on both sides to make it look cohesive and make it look like one. So also on this side, we are placing rocks, and we are making sure it looks like they belong there, and it's one big, happy rock formation in this giant tunnel. And I'm actually really happy with how it looks. Look, there was our first giraffe that was walking there. And now, oh, we already built facilities. Okay, so apparently I did not have that in here. Okay, so now we are building this giant lake, and I wanted to use the shapes, and I was like, nah, you know what, I'm just gonna do it normal. And it is giant. When I mean giants, I mean giants, because I didn't want to have my zoo like only with habitats. I wanted to have like a natural feel to it, so open water where you can just sit and relax. and do stuff like that. And maybe I'll turn part of this water in the water for some of the habitats. Maybe like for, I don't know, African elephants or something like that. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. And again, we are placing the rocks because we want it to look cohesive. We want it to look like one. And in the end, we are obviously going to decorate these rocks with some flowers as well, just like we did with the other rocks. Just to make it look like it is really one big hole. You know, and then you can, to make it look like more like one whole bit, we are actually going to use the same fencing system that we did before. And I'm not going to show you the way that I did it, just a little bit, because, you know, it's a lot of fencing and it's quite annoying to watch, and it was really annoying to place it. Like, I can't stress that enough how annoying it was to place it. So instead of doing the fencing all the way, like through the path, we are now just deciding, you know what, we are going to do some more rock formations here, because we are in the African part of this zoo. And I don't know, whenever I think of Africa, I think like desert, rocks, giraffes, and that's basically what I think about. So naturally we are gonna have like these giant rock formations, and we are trying to look them like a little bit interesting. So we're using different kind of shapes, different kinds of type of rocks. We are placing some of the rocks really inward, some of them really out, so you have like the difference in height, and I think it actually looks pretty nice already. And I don't know what I'm doing here, by the way, I'm just letting you guys know. I thought I got that out. Anyways, so we are now decorating the, I don't, is it like a pond or a lake? I don't know, like the water with some of the, I still don't remember the name of those plants, you know, along the water. I keep forgetting. My memory is not that good. Just bear with me, my memory is pretty awful. So if I don't remember things, it's like not on purpose. I just don't really have that good of a memory with things like this. And we are gonna place a lot, and I mean a lot of foliage, because we wanted to, like I said before, I feel like I'm repeating myself, man. We wanted to look cohesive, and we want our guests to be saying, ooh, the scenery looks amazing. I can't imagine the work it took. The scenery is epic. Lately I got an epic in my zoo. They were like, ooh, the scenery is epic. And I was like, yes, that is what I'm doing it for. We want amazing and epic scenery. You know, that's basically why we're doing it. And in here we have like this little cave into the rocks, and I thought it looked really, really cute. And we are going to use some of the palm trees just to make it look also natural transmission from the South America to the African area. And I'm really happy with the way it turns out. Also the elephant grass surrounding the rocks, it looks so nice because the grass is so green and the rocks are like really deserty. I'm in love with it. I'm really in love with it. Anyways, guys, we are going into the cinematics pretty soon. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I know that you're watching. I can see that, and I know that you haven't subscribed, you know, and it's really a shame because then you have to look me up every time, and it takes time. Just subscribe and hit that bell icon. You can choose personalized, none, or all. Personally, I'd go for all because, you know, my content is pretty great. But like, guys, just make sure you do it. It really helps me out, helps my channel out, and it will help you out in the long run as well. So make sure you do that, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.